Sunday morning, we are back inside Tennessee, the highest rated public affairs program in the nation. That might be a bit of a lie, but it's certainly the best, right? Chloe mentioned in Block 1, we're taping Thursday night right before the presidential debate. And this airs on Sunday morning. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk probably next week about how the debate went. Chloe, you've had a lot of people who are contributing, who are enthusiastic. You've also had some criticism from some people, skeptics. They're worried about some things, and I wanted to ask you about them. They're a little worried about transparency of where the money's going and when people can find out sort of how that's going. And some questions have been raised, for example, about how the initial sort of effort, which evolved called Lial Plan, where that money went. Documentation indicates some of that went to you. There's questions about where the rest of it went. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'm happy to, and I'm glad you asked the question. So, you know, it's interesting. I think the spending of the Lial Plan, honestly, is about the least controversial component of this project. It should be anyway. So,
it was a few $100,000 you had raised last year,
yes,
something like that?
we raised about $460,000. And something I think it's important to point out is that the first two hires that the Lial Plan made was an amazing, crackpot, just incredible compliance team with credentials through the roof. We also hired a female partner from one of the country's most prominent election law firms in the country out of DC, Elias Law Group. And through our compliance team, who also happened to serve as our treasurer for the Super PAC, all of our spending was vetted, was responsible, was managed. Our legal team and our compliance team considered every contractual vendor pay for its fair market value. They scrutinized all of our spending to, quite frankly, within an inch of its life to make sure that we were utilizing our resources in an appropriate fashion, and we were. And I think it's really important to also note that people ask sometimes where the money went, which is a great question. We made an intentional decision at the Lial Plan at the very beginning of this to hire an amazing team of professionals from a diverse array of backgrounds, folks with experience in media, in politics, in strategy, in all sorts of areas, because we were taking on a problem that was decades and billions of dollars in the making, and we needed to recruit a group of folks with a wide variety of skill sets. Because this wasn't just caused by one thing, we needed a great team to come up with a solution. And so we allocated those resources toward building out that team, and I couldn't be more proud of the way in which that money was spent. I think it was incredibly important, and that team of professionals working together is what formed the foundation of the Best of Tennessee. And so everything you're seeing, including the ads tonight that will run during the presidential debate, were on the shoulders of and from the foundation of that team that we initially retained. I'd also just point out that that spending was accounted for as required under the law. Anyone can go to the Tennessee Registry of Election Finance online and pull up our reports. Our first one was made available in July of 2023. The second was in January of 2024. And I encourage anyone to go through those line by line. We stand by that spending. I also think it's really interesting why the spending has become sort of the most controversial element of this project. I think really is interesting because it's why our organization exists in some sense, that the Lial Plan spending was above board, appropriate, scrutinized, et cetera. But I think the focus on it has been a really unique opportunity to view what misinformation and disinformation and distraction looks like. You know, the Best of Tennessee is a disruptor. We are designed to take on extreme governance, not extremism in policy, but extremism in the way we go about governing. And that is challenging to a status quo within both parties. And I think we've seen this evolution of the projects, and we've seen that the spending is entirely non-controversial. But I think the focus on it distracts from our work, and that's important to think about.
I was just going to follow up on Best of Tennessee. There's a nonprofit, a 501c4,
Yes.
I think, and then also a PAC. We don't have any documents filed yet with the state to look at there yet. When will those get filed?
Oh, absolutely. So our C4 entity is required to file a 990 with the IRS, which we will when it's required as by what our lawyers and accountants tell us. Our Super PAC, which is operating this summer, will be filing its first report on I think the deadline to file with the state is June 30th, or the deadline for the quarter closing is June 30th. We will file before July 10th. And then there are subsequent filing dates in the lead up to the primary. And all of our spending through the Best of Tennessee Super PAC will be transparent, open, and available for review. And I really do welcome any opportunity to go line by line with any members of the media or any of our donors or just interested members of the public. I really would welcome that opportunity. I stand by it.
Yeah. A couple more questions. I just want to be, you're not doing this for free. How are you getting paid?
Oh, I'm compensated for this. I was a practicing attorney for 14 years, and I took on this role. I will tell you that after we hired the compliance team and the legal team for the liminal plan, I sat down with them and ensured that any compensation I received was reflective of a fair market value, the roles and responsibilities of the position, and my comp was fully vetted, as was everyone on the team. And so, yes, I am compensated as I gave up my law practice. And I would say, too, I'm proud to say that everyone on our team is paid dollar for dollar what they're worth. We're not paying anyone 70 cents, 80 cents, or 90 cents on the dollar. We're ensuring that everyone's paid fairly.
And just lastly for you,
Sure.
Do you mind sharing how much you are getting paid?
Sure. My salary is $15,000 a month as a contractor, which is appropriate, fair, vetted by legal, vetted by compliance, and now equal to just about what I was making as an attorney. And I'm proud to say that everyone, again, on our team is compensated what they're worth, myself included.
Appreciate it. All right, it's time for us to take
excellent.
another
So-
break. We'll be back in just a second. Ramsden, I promise you can
I'm
get
eager.
you
Sorry.
get the first jump out of the gate. We'll be back in just a minute. This is Inside Tennessee.